Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. It is another Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesday, so I'm super excited for episode 3, and we got a little visitor. He's just as excited. So we're going to get right into the episode. Should be like an hour like the other ones were. As soon as it's over, I will give you my take on it, what I think, and we'll just take it from there. So I'm going to go watch it, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I just finished Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 3. Now, I just want to start this video by saying there will definitely be spoilers. So if you haven't seen episode 3 yet, go watch that first, then come back and watch this video because we're going to get into some of the best scenes. There was a lot. All right, so there are spoilers ahead. Okay, so I want to start with, you get that opening scene of, Obi-Wan, and he's trying to contact Qui-Gon, his old master, but he keeps getting this thought, invading his head of what Reva said about Anakin being alive. And then it seems like he and Anakin are still connected because they were so close. You get this scene where it's going back and forth between him and Anakin. And I think it's a great way to start off this episode. All right, so this is that scene I was talking about a moment ago. Right in the beginning, we see Obi-Wan here trying to contact his master Qui-Gon, but he keeps having this thought of Anakin and everything that happened invading in his mind. And it seems almost like he can see this in his mind. You see he's almost panicking. He's very stressed about it, trying to focus to contact his master, and it's just not working. You see his face, how it looks, and all at the same time as this, we're getting these awesome shots of Vader in his transformation. And you can see it's all building up to that final moment where we see the chest piece put in here. We see it light up. And then the absolute final moment, the completion of Darth Vader, which is the helmet going on. You can see in Obi-Wan's face, it's like he can see this. He can feel it happening. Once again, all over the death of Anakin and the rebirth of Darth Vader. Another awesome scene that I thought was kind of toward the beginning or maybe the halfway point was when they were on the planet, the mining planet, Obi-Wan and Leia, and which is where most of this episode takes place as well, if not the whole thing really. Just a few scenes are off of it, but they're on this planet, and Leia kind of waves down a ship that's coming, or not like a spaceship, but just like it seems like he kind of hauls passengers from, he doesn't really say what he does. His name is Freck. That's the guy. But I think this scene has, it's a bunch of scenes connected. I think it has some of the best scenes in the episode, so I thought it was really good. Okay, and this is Freck, who I mentioned a moment ago, who we meet here. You can see he's kind of got like a transport of some kind, and you can see he is a sympathizer of the Empire, which he says himself to Obi-Wan and Leia while they're on this transport. And you can tell he gets suspicious because he does actually later on tell the Empire to look into them, which is what causes Obi-Wan to have to take a blaster out and shoot some of them. But we get some great scenes here of these stormtroopers kind of questioning Obi-Wan and Leia, and the banter between them trying to come up with this backstory was really great. So this was one of my favorite scenes in the beginning. Now, one of the main things I want to focus on in this review of this episode is Hayden Christensen's performance as Vader, because that was something that, maybe not a lot of people knew exactly what they would get, because we've never seen him really as Vader before. We've seen him as Anakin. We saw him as like Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but he wasn't in the Vader outfit doing the voice. He was excellent. He had, the whole Darth Vader kind of like walk. Everything was like very, very good. So he did a great job. We do get some scenes finally with Obi-Wan and Vader together, and it was just so good, honestly. Like, ahead of the show, you were waiting, like, oh, I wonder what those scenes are going to be like, but it was so good. You can clearly see the hatred that Vader or Anakin has for Obi-Wan, He has revenge on his mind as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you can see Obi-Wan is still shaken by this whole thing. He can't believe he's alive. Can't believe just that he turned to the dark side. We get some great dialogue between them, and we get, finally, the first lightsaber battle. The first time we see Obi-Wan use his lightsaber, and we do see the rematch. Like I said before, we did get an awesome battle between Obi-Wan and Vader, finally. You can tell even in this clip that Vader has been using his lightsaber a lot. He's using one hand. It's very easy for him. Obi-Wan is struggling, and in the end, he does lose. But then, after the battle, Vader catches up to him, and we get this scene where you can clearly see the revenge in his intent. Obviously, Obi-Wan cut off Anakin's legs and arm, and Anakin lit on fire and burned alive. And you can see that's just what he wants to do to Obi-Wan. He even says to him, like, your suffering happens now. It's your time to feel the pain. So I thought this was a really great scene and an awesome battle. So kind of my overall thoughts, just quick on the episode as we're wrapping up this review. I thought the scenes with Obi-Wan and Leia were still great. We have a great moment with them on that little ship thing with Freck, where Leia can kind of see, Obi-Wan must have known her mother. And he doesn't tell her he does, but she can tell. We get great scenes with, the Inquisitors together, with the fifth brother and the third sister. We get some great scenes there. We get some great scenes with Obi-Wan and Vader. I just think that this show, like episode 1 and 2 were setting it up, showing what Obi-Wan had become over the last decade and what was going to happen. This episode just launched us into a whole new area, and I'm super excited for the rest of the show. Now, obviously, like I said, we saw the rematch. This is not going to be like the rematch. This is going to be their first meeting. Of course, they're going to have some crazy fight at the end. Like, Obi-Wan is clearly rusty. You could very clearly see that in the clip I showed. He's just very rusty. I mean, this is probably the first time he's used his lightsaber and had a lightsaber battle in 10 years since he last fought Anakin Skywalker. So I think we're in for definitely some of the best Star Wars episodes, in my opinion. This was one of the best ones, I think, out of all the Star Wars shows. So I'm super excited for it. I do want to give my predictions for next week's episode and kind of the rest of the series, because I have some thoughts. I do think that Reva is going to turn back to the good side, to the light side. That's kind of like my bold prediction. They showed a bunch of Padawans escaping Order 66 at the beginning of the show, and I think that Reva was one of them. And I think that maybe her fixation on Kenobi has to do with, whether she knows it or not, something pulling her that way. And I think that maybe it'll be that she sacrifices herself for him, or she switches over and then Vader strikes her down and Obi-Wan says, okay, now I'll fight you, or something like that. Something where basically I think she will in the end turn to the light side. I do think the Grand Inquisitor is not dead. I know that I did see a comment talk about that it's just a title. While I agree, I think it could be just a title. I don't think that's the case here. I think that that's the same Grand Inquisitor. I think he's going to make a return. I had a feeling it might not be this episode. They might want to milk it a little bit. But I just have a feeling maybe because Vader said he was watching Reva. So I feel like maybe he, I don't know, rescued the Grand Inquisitor the same way that the Emperor rescued him. And maybe that we're going to see some grand return of the Grand Inquisitor. Maybe next episode, maybe at the very end. Maybe he won't be in the rest. He'll just show up at the end. I just have a feeling he'll be back. Those are some of my, and then of course the excellent rematch I'm sure we're going to get. Those are kind of my, rest of season sort of predictions. And I say season because I know there's been a lot of talk of maybe a season 2. Ewan McGregor, who plays Obi-Wan, he said he'd be interested. I know that they said at Lucasfilm that if they could tell an excellent story about why Obi-Wan would be doing what he's doing, then they would be interested. So that's pretty cool that everyone kind of seems on board. I know Hayden Christensen said he'd be on board, so that seems really awesome. For next week specifically, I think that, because the episode literally ends with Reva now has Leia in her sights, and she's chasing her down that like pathway that they were going to escape from. So I think that we're going to see in the next episode that, I mean, I don't think Vader is going to capture Leia because he doesn't know he has a daughter. Like we know that from the original trilogy. So I don't think that will be a problem, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't know he has a daughter until later on. So maybe Reva captures her and like then they save her, or maybe Leia just escapes. I don't know what exactly will happen, but my prediction for next week is that we're going to see kind of Obi-Wan like racking himself with this like guilt over what happened with Anakin and, you know, recovering from his injuries. I think we're going to take a small step back in terms of like action. There was a lot this week of Obi-Wan fighting stormtroopers with blasters, and we had the Vader lightsaber battle. I think we're going to, you know, it's going to dial back a little bit. Now, one kind of like cool scene that I didn't talk about yet from this week before we wrap up is we see Vader like walking down, almost like it was like a Western and people are hiding, and he just uses the Force and like grabs them out of windows and Force chokes people, killing them as he goes, kind of to draw Obi-Wan out. And I thought that was a really cool scene. Just, we continue in these shows and movies to see scenes of Vader and his power. We weren't really able to see that in the original movies because just the technology at the time, but everyone feared him, and we're seeing why in these movies and shows, and I think that's really cool. All right, so this episode was amazing. I think it was the best one yet. Next week, again, I think it's going to dial back a little bit before we really, in the last two, I think they're going to be action-packed. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we see another really cool fight next week. So stay tuned. Every Wednesday until the show is over, I will be doing a review video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know in the comment section if you did. Please like I said, comment, share this, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified for my review videos every Wednesday, as well as theme park and other fun videos I will post. Definitely hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.